Hey, what's going on everyone? MBG here again with another video. We have some pretty exciting PlayStation news to cover today. Sony announced yet another studio acquisition. This time, the acquisition is of Haven Studio. Now, to a lot of people, this may not come as the biggest surprise because there was already an established relationship and partnership between PlayStation and Haven. But what is surprising about this is not only does Sony not normally make acquisitions in this way, but we're learning a little bit more about where Haven Studio is going to fit in the bigger picture of PlayStation Studios and how their game is progressing. So we have a lot to go over and cover. Before we get into it, do me a favor, be sure to hit the like button to help the video out and show it your support. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. So first, we're going to head over to the PlayStation blog, where they say welcoming Haven Studios to the PlayStation Studios family. Herman Holst writes up, "Today, I'm delighted to announce that Haven Studios is officially joining PlayStation Studios. Jade Raymond brings a wealth of experience from her industry achievements and an infectious passion for creating games. And the leadership team at Haven is an equally impressive group of industry veterans who have collaborated on some of the biggest and most beloved games and franchises that many of us still enjoy today. We began working with Jade and her team in early 2021 when they were on the brink of announcing the formation of Haven Studios. From their first pitch, we were inspired by Haven's vision for creating a modern multiplayer experience that brings gamers together in positive and meaningful ways. We were confident in their creative and technical expertise to deliver on such an ambitious project, and we're thrilled to invest in their journey developing a new original IP for PlayStation. We've had the privilege of working closely with Haven this past year and have been impressed by the studio's growth and progress. So now, practically on the anniversary of when we made our partnership official, it's especially exciting to formally welcome them into the PlayStation family. We can't wait to see what the future holds for Haven Studios. Welcome to PlayStation Studios Haven." And so, obviously, Herman Holst is being pretty vague with a lot of what he's saying here, which is understandable because he actually did an interview with Jade Raymond with gamesindustry.biz, which we're going to cover, where he revealed much more insight as to why they decided to acquire Haven and what it is they're working on. And I have to say, before we move on to that this is really interesting because we have not seen anything from this studio. We've only heard Sony talk about it in a way that really makes it sound like they're working on something pretty significant here. And I'm beginning to think they may be working on something much more significant than maybe anybody was expecting, because we talked about not that long ago how Mark Cerny is now working with Haven Studio to really kind of push the boundaries and the limits of what, will be capable on the PS5. But also, I think some people forget Mark Cerny is a game developer as well, and a very talented one at that. So there's a lot going on with the studio, and the fact that Sony was so quick to acquire them, right? I mean, it shows just how much confidence they seemingly have in this project. And something else I want to say before we go deeper into this is proof that Sony still cares very much about growing PlayStation and their studios in a organic way. A lot of people were feeling maybe a little bit, I don't know if concerned is the right word, but maybe just not as confident that Sony cares so much anymore about organic growth when they announced that they acquired Bungie. But even then, we established that Bungie and Sony have had a pretty extensive and close relationship over the years. But this is absolute proof that Sony still cares about this type of growth, because it really doesn't get any more organic than this when it comes to acquiring talent and acquiring a studio. I mean, this studio was just built from the ground up about a year ago, and Sony, obviously invested in the studio. That's why they announced the partnership. But now, it seems like they're realizing, what, we invested into a very good group of developers here, because now they're buying them. But I want to move over now to Zubitech over on Twitter. Big shout out to Zubitech. Does a great job following all things PlayStation and covering all things PlayStation. He compiled a lot of the quotes that we're getting with this acquisition, and so I wanted to read some of his posts here. First, he lets us know what PlayStation's Jim Ryan has to say about the acquisition. Quote, Haven Studios is an emerging studio with an exceptional team of talent, and we're delighted to welcome them into PlayStation as our first game development studio in Canada. The studio's focus on creating an original AAA multiplayer game will not only flex the power of PlayStation 5, but will further expand upon the diverse catalog of gaming experiences that can only be found on PlayStation. We should expect more when it comes to further PlayStation acquisitions. Or the quote ended with, we should expect more, but obviously that's what he was alluding to. But I also want to cover what Herman Hulst had to say, because I think what he had to say about the acquisition definitely revealed more about what's going on here behind the scenes. And so there is a thread here from Zubitech, head of PlayStation Studios Herman Hulst, on the Haven Studio acquisition. Quote, we've had the opportunity to work closely with Haven Studios over the past year and have been impressed with the growth of the studio and the progress of our first project. Raymond has created a world-class team that combines creativity and technology with a player-first spirit, building a whole new gaming environment for co-op that players will enjoy for generations to come. We appreciate that commitment, and we are delighted that Haven Studios will officially join. You're right, we could have just carried on in the capacity of the team being an external development partner, but what Haven has created is so exciting for us that there was just a desire to deepen that relationship. We have been very impressed with how Haven is coming together. It's just easier for us to invest in the team and game more deeply this way. It is a testament to the fact that we've been very impressed with the progress that Haven has made. They're actually exceeding a lot of the plans, including in terms of time, which very rarely happens in game development, let me tell you. So we thought, let's invest deeply and do this properly. It is incredibly exciting for us to be there, but also to have people that are native to the area and knows everyone. I have already seen the caliber of people that Haven has been able to attract. We are finally in Canada, we're finally in Quebec, and we've hit the ground running with a team that's deeply embedded in the area. As you know, we've always been heavily represented on the East Coast of the US, in Tokyo, in the UK, in Amsterdam, and now in Helsinki with Housemarque. So it's great to be able to tap into pools of creative talent in different parts of the world. Obviously, we will always carry on making these single-player narrative-based games, such as Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, and Horizon Forbidden West, but you've spotted correctly that we have invested in live service games because that's incredibly exciting for us. It allows us to build larger worlds. It allows us to create really meaningful social connections between players. We have quite a few now in development or conceptualization. So yes, we are setting up capabilities internally, but exactly for that reason, it is so exciting for us to welcome to the family a group of people who have a lot of experience with live service games. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, but I thought that this was pretty important to go over because there's a few things that we can gather from what Herman Hulst is saying here. First of all, as we already kind of assumed, they are very impressed with not only the game that they're making, but how quickly they're making progress on this game and how they seemingly believe in its vision and how it's going to be a pretty big deal for PlayStation. That's something that we can immediately gather from this. It's also worth pointing out that they're highlighting the fact that they are now established in Canada, and that is very important for PlayStation Studios because, as Herman points out, they're all over the world, but Canada is known to house many, many talented game devs. There is a ton of game dev talent within specifically Montreal, where Haven Studios is located, so it's really kind of a big deal that they're now establishing a foothold there. We're also learning that we can still expect a focus on single-player games. I'm glad that Herman continues to emphasize this because I think it's really important that he and whoever else is speaking on behalf of PlayStation continues to make it known that even though they are pursuing these live service games, single-player will always be there and it's established. It's not going anywhere. This is what Sony relies on. It's their bread and butter. It's what makes them successful. And so they're not pursuing their live service goals or these endeavors at the expense of the single player. I think that was critical for him to highlight, and I'm glad he did. And then he just kind of goes on to explain how this studio, Jade Raymond Studio, Haven Studios, they're just working really, really well with PlayStation Studios, and this was just so natural for them. Like, they were just working together so well and so naturally that they're like, you know what, we're just gonna buy you. And so yeah, this is, I have to say, again, not the most surprising acquisition, but just the fact that it's happening so soon and Sony is so confident, I think it's a great sign. at this point in time, we don't know exactly when we're going to see this game, but one thing I can say is that we may end up seeing this game revealed this year, because again, we're hearing that it's progressing very well. It's ahead of schedule, and so if Sony is this excited about it, you have to assume that they're going to want to show it off in the not too distant future, or as soon as they can. And I don't want to get too excited. Again, they're an unproven studio. This game that they're making could be literally anything, and I know that automatically a lot of people are like, oh, it's a live service multiplayer game, I'm not interested. But as somebody who does enjoy multiplayer games, and I'm hoping that Sony can do this right going forward, I'm definitely interested to see what this project is going to be. And especially now that they are a first-party PlayStation studio, I mean, Mark Cerny working on it. What is this game? What is this game that Haven Studios is working on? Hopefully, it ends up living up to expectations, whatever those expectations might be. But there's no doubt that since Haven is a first-party studio now and Sony bought them up so quickly, there's no doubt that the expectations behind this game have raised quite significantly. So there you go. That's all the information I have for you when it comes to the latest PlayStation Studios acquisition. At this point, I'm going to ask you to leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. I will be very interested to see what you guys have to say. Again, leave the video a like if you found it informative or enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell notification icon and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.